Hello everybody, I am Alina and I am Canvas and Conversation, and today we are going to paint this kind of sunny flowers. It could be sunflowers or just kind of more impressionistic flowers than we have before. This could be a spring picture or a fall picture, but we're going to get right to it. And I'm going to start with my biggest brush, and in your paint palette you'll have kind of an olive green and some white. And I'm going to pick both those up on my brush together, and I'm going to start up here at the top in whatever color that kind of makes, and then I might pick up a little bit of yellow to go in that, and we're going to start up here and just cover the top part of this canvas with these colors. So I've got green and white and yellow, and I'm going to drop my canvas. Things happen, right? It happens to the best of us here. So make sure if you are painting on carpet that you are covering that, or on your table you've covered it with paper. You'll notice I'm painting the tops and the sides as I go. That just makes it feel more finished when it's on your wall. So I'm going to come down to about right here. I'm going to leave about 3 inches at the bottom of the canvas. I'm using an 11 by 14 canvas. And because this is a more impressionistic painting, I'm not concerned about my brush strokes being perfectly even. And then as I come down, I'm going to get a little more green in here than just the white. So what I'm creating is a base layer, base coat. And then you've got another green in your paint that's a little bit darker, and I'm going to come right here at the edge. I'm going to start kind of tapping that in so it's a little brighter green. And I'm just going to let my brush make those strokes. And right about here, I'm going to leave a space of white where the top of my, I'm going to rough that in for you guys, the top of my cup is going to be. So I've got pretty much the top part of this covered, and then I'm going to go back and add this texture. And then I can come back with my other greens and my yellows and my whites and add that texture up here as well. Wherever you want it. There is no right or wrong way to do this. And again, I'm using my big brush, and we're just going to let that paint mix itself. It can be, you can use a lot of paint on your brush or a little bit. Just be cautious that you don't want to have too much paint on there. We do want it to dry relatively quickly. This is acrylic paint, so it is going to come off your hands, out of your hair, but if you get it on your clothes, you might be living with it for a while. Just speaking from experience. So you'll notice I'm doing a little more yellow in some areas, a little more white in some areas, whatever I choose to pick up. And I'm not trying to make it any specific pattern or anything. In fact, random is best, right? Flowers grow where they want to grow. That's how I get that muddled look. You could also use a paper towel or a sponge, even your finger if you wanted to. Again, doing the sides. You'll notice I'm not mixing one specific color. I'm just, again, letting my paintbrush mix that for me. Letting that blend in. You can have some darker greens up here, some brighter greens. I'm going to pick up a little tiny bit of red and white to make a pink. And I'm just going to dab that on the corner of my thing. My brown's taking off here. And I'm going to dab in a little bit of pink, just barely touching the canvas with my brush, so I have a little bit of pink up in here. Doesn't take very much to make that pop up. And then I'm going to flip my canvas upside down. And I'm going to rinse out my big brush. So you should have a cup of water nearby. I use an old jar that I use. I'm just going to stir that on the bottom of my jar here to get most of that paint out. I'm going to dry it up on my paper towels that I have here. So I've got a couple of paper towels. I'm just going to dry that up. I don't want my brush to be super wet. And then I'm going to do kind of the same thing along the bottom here, but I'm going to use left and right strokes, and I'm going to start with some white and some brown. And again, I'm going to leave about where my cup is here, and I'm going to paint over that green with my brush. White is your magic eraser when it comes to that. So I'm going to use a little brown and a little white to create my table, my foreground, my ground here. I'm going to go right up to that edge. You can even kind of dab that right along that edge to make it blend a little better. Again, it's just brown and white. If you want it to be more brown, add more brown. If you want it to be more white, more tan, you can add tan. If you want it to be more like a sandy beach, you add a little yellow to it. I want mine to be fairly brown. And as I did that, you'll notice I did the sides and the edge there. Alright, so there's that. I'm going to flip it back around. I stuck my fingerprint right in it. See, it happens to all of us. I can fix that a little bit if I want. No big deal. Go ahead and make sure I got my edge over here. I'm going to do over here. Okay, so the next thing is I'm going to get rid of my big brush. I'm going to take my medium-sized brush. And I'm going to take this green that I have, the darker, brighter green, and a tiny bit, teeny tiny bit of black. And I'm going to come out of the top of my cup here and do some teeny tiny bit of black with that green, because otherwise you'll get too dark. I'm going to do lots of stems, and some are going to be a little taller, some are a little less. Just they're coming out of the top of my cup, just like that. And then I'm going to rinse that brush. Get that green out of it. And I'm going to come back with just white. And I'm going to paint in, even around the edge of that, my cup. And I just picked up green, so I got to rinse my brush again. I'm using just white at the moment. Now your cup is a cylinder, so a cylinder has kind of a rounded bottom here. And it's okay if it goes into that brown a little bit, and a rounded top. I try to do this backwards for you guys, and I want to fill that in. I absolutely want to paint all of my white there. And just fill in over that. And then we'll do a handle. My handle's kind of square, so just going to let my brush do that. And then I'm going to come back with a little bit of darker brown, or black, I'm sorry, a little black, a little gray. Got white on my brush already, so I'm going to make a little bit of a gray. And I'm going to come down this edge and just pull off a little bit this way, and a little bit down here. Some gray. I'm going to leave the middle white. That's going to create that shadow for you. And then I'm going to come back with just some black and kind of do the same thing, but I'm going to go right around this edge up here. So there's a little black on that edge up here, and a little bit black down here. Maybe just a tiny bit up this edge. Now, if at any time you want to use a baby brush on this, you can. I'm going to do the same thing on my mug on the inside. I'm going to do a little bit of black here on the handle. And maybe down right around here. So your mug becomes a gray mug. And again, this is more of an impressionistic painting, so if it's not perfect, it's okay. And then I'm going to take a little bit of black too, so it's a darker kind of thing, and I'm going to kind of scrub out down the bottom here and add some shadow down around the bottom of my mug. Here. You can also come back with some white and do some highlights. Again, whatever feels good to you in your painting. Now we're ready to do the flowers. So. So I'm going to start, again, with my medium-sized brush and just some white paint. I'm just going to dab in kind of not even quite a dime size bit of flowers. And it helps if you have a lot of them and they're grouped together, right? This is a big bouquet. Now, if you want to do other kinds of flowers, that's fine. But I'm just dabbing in some white flowers. And then I'm going to find my baby brush, and I'm going to come back with some yellow, and right in the middle of those I'm going to dab in some yellow. Now if you want some pink flowers, you can add some pink flowers. Again, very impressionistic, just using a dotting, letting our eyes create the illusion of the flowers. This one. There we go. And now you have a nice little spring-ish, summer-ish, fall-ish painting. It can go either way. Simple, easy, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks and have a good day.